When we look at Android Auto and CarPlay, they tend to be significantly easier to use than the typical system that's found in the car when you purchase it. And what we found was that Android Auto and CarPlay were substantially lower demand, easier to use, and they really didn't significantly differ overall in terms of their workload. Remember that the primary job of a driver is to pay attention to the road. Android Auto and CarPlay allow a lot of features and functions that are easier to use than what you typically find with a car when you first purchase it. Even so, some of those features are still too distracting. And with the features and functions that are available with Android Auto or CarPlay, in some situations, it may be distracting the driver to levels that are still unsafe. Two of the features that tend to be highest in terms of the workload are programming the navigation system and to send text messages. Those features are best done when the car is stopped. Even though they can be done while the car is in motion, it's not necessarily safe to do so. Just because the vehicle allows you to do it doesn't mean it's safe to do it. When we look at Android Auto and CarPlay, they tend to be significantly easier to use than the typical system that's found in the car when you purchase it. It does show that there's a blueprint for making these systems safer. The OEMs, the auto manufacturers, can look at how CarPlay and Android Auto are functioning and try and make their systems so that they behave in a similar level. The car has changed radically in the last few years. If you haven't taken a look at a new car, you're going to see features and functions that were unimaginable just a few years ago. What's happening though is sometimes those features are just too distracting, or they're not as refined as they need to be. What we're seeing right now are touch screens, heads-up displays, gesture controls, and voice controls that are just, in many cases, too distracting. And we're seeing that, unfortunately, we're many times going in the wrong direction. What used to be a simple button press or a turn of a knob is now a complex interaction that may go wrong. And so we're making those interactions more complex and more frustrating. Sometimes simple knobs and buttons are easier and better to use.